Why do new employees get paid more than long-time employees? One of the most eye-opening moments in my career came when I learned that a new colleague was making more money than me. One day, without a second thought, I asked him, "What's your salary?" When I heard that she was 40 a year more than me, I felt resentful, jealous, and undervalued. How can a person with the same position and the same experience earn 40 more than me? After this discovery, I started leaving the office earlier, justifying it by saying that I was not being paid fairly. I ended up leaving the company a few months later. She offered me a counteroffer, promising a raise and an increase in salary, but then I felt insulted. So why do companies do this? Are they intentionally trying to make their employees unhappy? Do they really think employees won't find out about this situation? Or do they think that we will stay anyway, because they are one of the best employers in the world? Later, I worked in the payroll department for a while and saw how the sausage is made, so I want to share my thoughts on why new employees are paid more and why the best way to get better pay is to move to a new location. Reason 1: Companies really want you to leave. This may seem incredible, but it is true. Many companies have a plan for laying off employees. Some big tech companies fire the worst 10 of their performers each year. They want to get rid of people who have been working for a long time but are not performing well, so by underpaying them they solve this problem because it will eventually lead to these people leaving every year. Of course, the problem with this strategy is that it also affects quality specialists. Reason 2: Annual salary increases have limits and the budget for hiring is larger than the budget for salary increases. This probably isn't the case for smaller startups that don't have a formal salary structure, but larger companies often have strict policies limiting how much an employee can increase their salary. Example: let's say when you started working 2 years ago, the market average salary for your position was 70, but has now jumped to 100. However, since the company can only increase your salary by a maximum of 5 each year because it is tied to inflation, rising costs of living, or some other metric, your salary will continue to lag behind the market average. Additionally, many managers have a strict budget for salary increases promotions per year, and this is often lower than the budget for hiring new employees. Even if your manager would like to give you a hefty raise to catch up with the market, he doesn't have the budget for it. And even if they had such a budget, they would have to explain for a long time to their management why they allocated such a large part of it to increase your salary. Bottom line, there is a lot more bureaucratic red tape involved in giving a salary increase than in offering a better deal to a new employee. Reason 3: Her departments do not understand the long-term implications of higher salaries for new hires. The need to hire X number of people is a pressing issue. And this is a task that recruiters have high incentives to undertake. After all, their commission's salaries likely depend on it. And if they can't hire someone, they just throw more money at him. The problem seems to be solved, right? And to hell with them, with long-term employees who will receive much less as a result. This is someone else's problem. Unfortunately, if you talk to her departments, you will find that almost no one is thinking about how this inequality will affect their company in the long term. They do a terrible job of calculating the costs associated with laying off employees. The only costs they see on the PL line are the salary increases needed to fill their position, but not the hidden costs such as time to interview new candidates, train new employees, achieve the desired level of productivity, and so on. These are all considered simply costs of doing business. Reason 4: Employers exaggerate the value of experience gained in another company. In addition, I have seen a strange phenomenon in many companies: experience gained elsewhere is often valued more highly than that gained within the company. I've personally seen this happen many times in my career. My company poached a new rock star from a competitor with decades of experience and fresh knowledge expertise. I often wondered, I have the same level of experience as him. Why don't you just promote me? Unfortunately, the company's thinking is that our team has led us to a stagnant position in the market, so we need someone new and exciting to turn things around and get us back on track. Unfortunately, I believe that this is just a psychological distortion. We hate it when the cost of products or services we already consume increases, but we easily spend more on new ones. The same is true for employees. Reason 5: Very few people want to solve the problem of retaining employees due to inertia. Retaining the best employees is a confusing, complex, and long-term task that very few people in the organization want to do. There are practically no people whose salaries depend on the level of employee retention, but there are such people in hiring. Therefore, strong inertia prevents the solution of this problem. And at the same time, they are quite competent. Her and senior management are often aware of the problem. They read the news and hear stories from her and management at other companies. Often they even add this task to their list. But solving it is complex and confusing because it requires discussions across the entire management vertical with the involvement of senior management, financial departments, her, and so on. It affects a lot of people in terms of profit forecasting, compensation structures, budgets, and the like. To solve this problem, you need to analyze a lot of data, conduct research, create forecasts, and obtain permits. Therefore, the problem naturally moves to the bottom of the priority list. In addition, there is not enough data to analyze employee retention, and it is unclear how much it is influenced by salary and other reasons, for example, personal circumstances, work-family imbalance, IC. In any case, a certain percentage of employees will quit every year. This is a natural process. How to distinguish a normal level of activity from an unusual one? It probably needs to happen with much more frequency for organizations to figure this out. That is, the problem may remain invisible for a long time until its scale becomes apparent. On the other hand, when hiring a new employee, it is necessary to offer competitive terms. There is no way to avoid this. Either you pay above the market, or they will go to competitors. That is, in order to remain competitive, you have to study salary data in questionnaires or from companies such as Pave and Ravio. Ultimately, new hires' salaries rise at the same rate as market wage changes. Knowing all this, what can you do as an employee if you find out that you are being paid less than colleagues with the same level of experience? 1. Collect as much information as possible about how wages are set in your company. Before you take drastic measures, you need to try to understand how salaries are calculated in your company. You should try asking your manager, her department, and other employees the following questions. What is the philosophy of calculating compensation? How is our salary determined? Who defines it? How you choose to get a pay raise will largely depend on how a particular company answers these questions. At some companies like Facebook, managers don't set salaries, so communication with your immediate supervisor won't be particularly productive. You're better off trying to talk to someone higher up the management chain or find out how to get promoted. In other companies, managers have more freedom to make decisions, and you will need to decide how to approach them tactfully. If you know that your company pegs salaries at the 75th percentile of the market average median and your salary is in the 50th percentile and you are highly productive, then this data can be used as arguments in the conversation. 2. Have an open conversation with your manager about salary. Most people are afraid to have serious conversations with their bosses about raises, but it's important to remember that good managers don't mind questions about salary. After all, it's part of their job. They should ensure your productivity and satisfaction as an employee. When you first talk, remember that most companies won't give you a 20 raise all at once. So instead of asking for a raise, you could say something like, "Hey, I worked for the company for X number of years. During this time I have done X ins. I know that I am paid X of the market average and my colleagues are paid above the market. What do you need to do to get a salary increase next year?" In addition to data on market salaries, it is worth providing tangible information about the contribution you made to the company. By contribution, I don't mean a trivial number of lines of code or number of closed tickets. I'm talking about working on a feature that speeded up a website by 20, resulting in a 10 increase in conversions. Or automation of some process, reducing the number of bugs by 20. If you can formulate what this contribution is, then communication with the manager will be greatly simplified. Remember that the main thing is not to demand an increase, but to reach an understanding with the manager about how to get this increase in the future. Perhaps you need to learn a few important skills to do this. Or start mentoring juniors on the team. Or maybe management underestimates your skills experience, which is why they hesitate in the decision to increase your salary. Are you asked to prove that you are underpaid, or are you told that there is no way to increase your salary due to the economic situation? This is probably not what you want to hear, but it's still important information. 3. Report your competitor's offer. So you talked to your manager about a potential raise and he said it wasn't possible. Or year after year goes by, but your salary still doesn't increase. What to do? This may seem aggressive, but in my experience, the best way to get your way is to show your manager a competitor's offer. Yes, it's easier said than done, but if you don't think your promotion is coming, it's very difficult to get a raise unless you show you're serious about leaving for another company. But this in no way means that you need to show the middle finger to the manager. You need to tactfully demonstrate the offer and say, Company X has offered me this position and salary. I love working for us and I really don't want to leave. Can you somehow solve the problem of my not being paid well enough compared to my colleagues? Of course, this is only true if you really want to continue working for the company. If you feel that you are not respected, then it is probably better to simply accept the competitor's offer and get the salary you deserve at the new company. Ultimately, there is no point in staying with a company that doesn't value your knowledge, skills, experience when you can find one that does.